Hey y'all, welcome back to another stream. How's it going? How's your week been so far? I hope everybody's doing great. I'm doing pretty honky-dory myself. I don't know why I'm speaking with this accent. But, yeah, I'm doing good. I hope everybody else is doing good. Looks like viewership is a little low right now, which is fine, which means nobody saw the little snafu I did earlier. I'm okay with it. Just making sure everything's loading as it should, and it did. Alright, wunderbar. Just checking things out. Alright, cool. Making sure stuff works. Looks like it is working. I don't know, I'm tired, guys. But today we are going to go ahead and we're going to spend about an hour, so not a whole lot of time, just reading this story. I've been writing a lot lately, I'm sure y'all know. I've pimped it out a couple of times. I'll pimp it out again. I've got a story on Railroad. Nothing like this story-ish. And it's, and I got inspired to go hunting for it, basically. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember my very first story that I published online. Actually, it wasn't my very first. It was one of my first. I had a fanfic on GeoCities for Sailor Moon at one point too. But that's neither here nor there. We got this story. I'm sure it's terrible. I'm not even going to say it's great. I did get some positive feedback, though. According to Wayback Machine, people enjoyed it. There were errors with it, of course. But it's, yeah. So I'm going to read it. And I want to see if I want to put it in my maybe rewrite archive. Because if it is good, if it's a possible contender for a story, even if it's a short story, I might utilize it. Or even make it into, like, fold it into a different story that I have. But it's been, oh lord, I think I published one of the chapters New Year's evening, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, literally 26 years ago. So we've got a couple decades between the last time I've read it and now. So I'm rambling at this point. I'm actually kind of afraid. Like, I have it open on the screen. I've skimmed through it a couple of times, but I haven't actually sat down to read it. Is it weird that that I've never read it? Probably, I guess, maybe. But, alright, here we go. Lord. Whisper in the Woods. Oh, that's right, I couldn't even use a handle when I published it. I published it under my real name way back when. Glad I decided not to pull it up for you. Anyway, I'm rambling. Focus. Alright. Let me pull the microphone a little closer for dramatic effect. Whisper in the Woods. Cyril glanced up at the sun. How long had he been walking? To him, it seemed like days. To his stomach, it seemed like months. But in all logic, it had been no more than a few hours. Falling to his knees, he looked at his hands as he lifted them to his face. They were dirty, scratched from pulling back branches out of his way while he traveled through the forest. He felt his face, smooth as it ever was, but slimy as well, since sweat had long covered it. I need to focus on the story. I'm gonna close out chats, so if people are chatting, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm also not going to say anything if like something pops up to say that there's a Twitch ad or whatever coming. You know, I'm just going to snooze the next ad there. That may or may not help, but I'm just going to close things down so I don't get distracted. Alright. Alright, back to this. He felt his face, smooth as it ever was, but slimy as well, since the sweat had long since covered it. Hope. All hope's gone, he muttered to himself, his face buried in his hands as he rocked himself back and forth in despair. Why did he leave again? He couldn't remember. His wife was at home, probably just awakening to the fact that her husband left, and probably not coming back. His kids, little Kara, and even tinier Leon. What he'd do without them? I'm reading it verbatim. What he'd do without them? Their eyes were always so pure of light, shining with glee over the simplest thing. Cyril shuddered, remembering the time she spent with them. Why did he leave? It wasn't their fault. Not even his wife's fault. It was... What was it? I'm liking this already. I don't even remember. Okay, cool. Comments for later. Cyril stood up. A figure stood off in the distance. The figure was unidentifiable through the trees. He was afraid, but familiar with the figure. He had seen it several times over, in his dreams. He never saw a face, never smelt a scent, never heard a sound. Just the figure, in the distance, looking at him. He didn't even know why it looked at him, or even how he knew it looked at him. It just floated there, and he knew it was the figure he was chasing. You, he whispered coarsely, standing. He didn't dare tear his eyes away from the figure, lest it should disappear and never return. He stumbled forward, getting closer to the figure. As he approached the figure, getting closer and closer, he could begin to smell its scent. A scent he had never experienced before. It was a mixture of flowers, tinted with age, and even hinted a bit of mildew. Stay, he whispered, stumbling forward. As he got close enough to reach a trembling hand out, the figure flashed and disappeared. No! He screamed, sinking back into the mortar-sodden ground. Why must you leave each time I get close enough to reach you? What about you entices me so? Beating his hands against the ground, he let out his frustration in a slew of curses and violence. At length, he leaned against a tree, shaded from the sun. So this is what it's like to chase a dream, he chuckled at the irony. Hello? Are you there? Came a high-pitched voice from somewhere in the treetops. Figure? He asked, standing and looking up to see if he could find the figure. Who's a figure? Asked the voice from behind him. Huh? Asked Cyril, whirling around to come face to face with a nude, tiny blue being, keeping herself afloat by rapidly beating 2 dragonfly wings against the wind. He screamed, All things holy! What the hell are you? I'm a fairy! What are you? She asked, darting about him, looking at him closely, even to the point of darting into one sleeve and out the other. What the? I'm a human! I thought all things were either humans or animals. Well, began the fairy, perching herself on Cyril's shoulder. I'm no human. She giggled and crossed her legs, setting her hands on them. But I'm not an animal either. You're silly. With the fairy so close, Cyril could get a better glimpse at her. Her body was blue, every part from her hair to her feet. She wore no clothing, so her tiny chest was shown for all the world to see. That was as far down as he went, not wishing to see what her genitalia looked like. Instead, he looked at the tiny face. It was as round as a tiny ball, with a tiny pointed nose and a pair of chiseled lips. Sorry. Her eyes were no color, but a shiny, high-spirited black. Fairy, he choked out, only to be answered with a nod. Do you have a name? I do. Yes, I do. It's Deidre. Do you have a name? Or Dredry. Do you have a name? She asked, pointing his nose with a tiny finger. Cyril, what are you doing here? The question is, Dredry began, flying off his shoulder and back in front of him. What are you doing here? I live here. Cyril glanced to the spot where the figure stood, then back at Drury. I'm looking for something. Oh, a quest? Oh, I hope it's a quest. I love quests, sang the fairy, spinning herself around. Then she stopped and darted around his face. What you looking for? Anything I can help with? A figure, he replied, looking down at the forest ground. Oh, the figure you thought I was. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm not your figure, so let's see. She flitted about the area a bit, coming to rest upon a branch, her wings flexing slightly in the rest. What does the figure look like? Is it a boy or a girl? I don't know. The figure is just there, floating, like a being wrapped in white sheets. He looked down at his hands again. I came within touching distance of it, and I still don't know what it looked like. It smelled like every sort of flower imaginable, with a type of mildew. Dredry was up in an instant, peering into Cyril's eyes. Did it say anything to you? No. Why? You should go home. Forget about Liefeld. She'll only cause harm. Go home? Now? He asked in surprise. I can't. I've come so far, and only because I saw the figure in my dreams. I've left my wife and children at home just so I could find her. You have a family? Run home! Fast! Run! Before she gets there! What's wrong? Why is she so bad? Dredry sat on another branch, looking at Cyril with a hard face. Liefeld's a Wisper. She comes to men in their dreams and lures them away from their homes. If they have a wife and children, she'll destroy the home and the family with it. Then she comes back to let the men know she's alive and lures them farther and farther away from their homes and their past. She changes the men's lives and makes them her slaves. Cyril listened wide-eyed. Is this true? A pair of eyes watched them from the dark abyss. Dredry nodded, then frowned. Well, the slave part I don't know. All I know is that men come through this forest all the time, murmuring something about a mysterious figure. I just never listened to them. But last week, there's been a rumor that she's plotting to try to start stealing fairy husbands away from their wives. So we've been on lookout. Her eyes rolled up into her head, and Dredry fell off the branch, plummeting to the ground. Dredry! Exclaimed Cyril, leaning over to catch the fairy in his palms. Dredry, what's wrong? Are you okay? Her gaze returned for a moment. Go home, she choked out before falling limp. Cyril shook the fairy. Wake up! Wake up! But it was no use. After a moment in Cyril's hands, Dredry's body lit up, glowing a pale color, and it soon dissolved, becoming tiny specks in the wind that had just sprung up. Oh look! I'm being distracted by somebody that's getting a message deleted. Bye! Okay, back to this. So Dredry just died. I don't remember that at all. Go me. Let's see. So Dredry just died and dissolved. The eyes closed. Good. Nothing. Cyril's hands parted, and and he looked at the air between them. He could have sworn he saw a tiny blue flame in them, but it flickered out before he could get a chance to tell. Go home? He thought to himself. But I have to find this being. But what if Deirdre's telling the truth? He stood and nodded to himself. Even if she wasn't telling the truth, it would be nice to go home and explain to his wife what was going on. He brushed off his pants and ran the way he came. Or the way he thought he came. After an hour of running, Cyril collapsed by a brook. He didn't recall the brook being on his way, but he was glad to have crossed it either way. Maybe I could clean myself off and get something to drink before I go, he thought eagerly as he peeled off his clothing. He stepped into the water and shivered as he scooped up handfuls of water and rubbed harshly against the spots of his skin which were most dirty and grimy. These included his hands, face, and any area subject to a lot of sweat. After his bath, he sun-dried himself. It would be noon soon, and Cyril knew that he would need to get home. As he clothed himself with a clean set of clothing, As he clothed himself with a clean set of clothing, which he packed in preparation for a long journey. Keep reading, Onya. He couldn't help but think of his home. Ophelisa was a kind woman, cooking, cleaning, and caring for Cyril and his children. She had married him 10 years ago and had not lost any of her beauty since. She came from a humble family, as did he, and was a wonderful aunt mother. The children, Kara and Leon, were always at one end of the rope or another. They would either be the best of friends, studying how the cat's tail worked, or they would be the bitterest of enemies, fighting over the single cat of the house. The cat had been Cyril's idea, a good playmate for the children, while a comfort to both Ophelisa and Cyril. He set out again, running to his home, but got nowhere. Head west, his mind told him. He looked up at the sun, got his bearings, and soon was running to the west. Wind was picking up, and the sunlight was getting steadily dimmer. Hold on, Ophi, Cyril begged in his mind as he pushed through the forest as rain began pelting down. Finally, he emerged from the forest, looking around the glen he had come into. It looked familiar, aside from the smoke in the distance. He nearly passed the smoke up for being a forest fire caused by lightning, but he didn't recall lightning, and his heart pumped already with fear of what could have befallen his family. He ran to smoke, pillar getting thicker and thicker as he neared the source. No, he breathed as he stepped on a hill that overlooked the remaining glen. In the distance was the smoldering remains of what was once a home. He could smell the smoke now, and in the smoke was the musty scent of many flowers, with a weaker scent of mildew. You doubted your friend. You want to stay away. The voice crackled in the nothingness. You thought you could save your wife and family in time, did you? Perhaps you underestimated me. Will you save yourself too? The voice cackled, piercing the hearts of the withered slave in the dark caverns of the nothingness. That's a weird line. So I think this is part 2, because I uploaded 2 chapters. It was supposed to be like a 3-chapter thing, but 2 chapters it is. After the fire and smoke had cleared, Cyril walked forward to the little home he had shared with his family. The memories, the passion, the love the house once held, all burnt to the ground. And why? Because a whisper had come into his dreams and literally taken him away before the dawning of truth? His face was soot-covered by the time he reached his home. And though the tears left their salty marks on the ashen face, he failed to attempt to clean it. He reached the burnt rubble now, kneeling as he grabbed 2 almost whole rafters from the roof and raised them over his head. For the love of my wife and daughter and son, I, Cyril, swear by the moon, stars, and sun, that I will exact my revenge on you, Lithiel. I swear it. Rawr. Oh, sorry. The enraged voice boomed into the heavens from the small man by the pile of rubble. He then dove into the remains to search for items or mementos that he could keep. Brushes, combs, pieces of metal were found, but no sign of bones, or jewelry, or even a picture were left. Everything aside from junk and wood bits were burnt to ash. No, he choked out through his agonized tears, beating his hands to the ground. Oh, Felisa, he breathed, his back shaking, symbolizing his tears. Like my little gift for you? I hope you do. Memories are such a precious thing. Don't waste them on another pretty girl. Ha ha ha! Shall I test these memories? Let's see how easy you forget. Sarah looked up at as the storm clouds parted. Although the storm ended very quickly, the clouds remained for a while. Now, the sun began shining, showing a pleasant light that illuminated the glen in an eerie light. Standing, he ran a hand through his hair and looked about. His gaze went past a trail, to rows of trees to his left, to rows of trees ahead of him, to rows of trees to his right. In the middle of the trees to his right was a white image, floating, mysterious, and even without eyes. It beckoned him to come. Should I go? He asked himself. Follow her? If I do, I run the risk of having my life taken away and becoming a slave. But that way, I also have a chance of killing her. His mind made up, he stepped forward to her. I'm coming, he said in a firm, commanding voice. The figure seemed to smile as Cyril came closer. Then, as he came close, she disappeared. Cyril stood in place for what seemed like an eternity. Groaning, his head in his hands, he stepped forward, back into the forest. Now what am I going to do? Do about what? Asked a feminine voice from behind Cyril. Cyril stood, eyes wide. Was Deirdre alive? No, she couldn't be. Deirdre died. So who was it then? He turned his head and saw a young woman there. Her thick blonde hair was flowing down, over her shoulders and ending at her waist. She wore a 3-button top that showed her belly while hiding her sides and back, scooped low enough to show some of her bosom, and the sleeves that ended at the wrists. At the hips rested the belt of a white skirt that rolled down her legs, as if they were waves in a turbulent sea. Who are you? I'm Fina. Pleased to meet you, she said as she stepped forward, extending a hand in greeting. She couldn't have been taller than 4 or 5 feet, but Cyril was already awestruck at her raw beauty. Cyril, he stammered out, accepting her hand and kissing it lightly. I heard you talking. I also saw you walk to that white thing. What was it? She asked, full of questions, calmer in contrast to Deirdre. Cyril turned his head away, frowning at the thought. That white thing, as you call it, it has ruined my life. He looked up at the girl and saw her face, disappointed at receiving it such a curt answer. Cyril sighed and raking a hand through his hair, he continued. It's a life, She came to me in my dreams and lured me away from my home. And while I was away, she destroyed it, leaving nothing for me to remember them by. Quietly, Fina stepped up to him, laying a calm hand on his shoulder. I know you probably want to be left alone, and that you don't want some girl hanging around. And I know you're probably upset. But after hearing about the injustice that Lithiel has caused you, I'll join you, and help you against her. She bit her ruby lips, smiling uncertainly at him. Sarah let loose a gentle grin, putting a hand on this lovely lady's shoulder. I'd be glad to accept your help. A cackle tore the air of the dark castle in a barren wasteland. Help me up, please, she begged, reaching up for Cyril. Turning on his ledge of the cliff, he held his arm down to her, grabbing her upper arm and keeping a firm hold while she used both hands to keep a strong hold on his single arm while he pulled her up. Are you all right? Fina sat, nodding. Yes, I think I'll be all right. She looked down at her sandaled feet and sighed. Cyril sat by Fina, looking at her worriedly. Is something wrong? They had been traveling together for a week. The only clue that they were on the right trail was when Cyril, alone, caught glimpses of the white figure in the distance. In the meantime, while traveling, Cyril and Fina had gotten to know each other better. Cyril had told Fina practically everything about himself, from the last he could remember up until he started having dreams with Lithiel in them. Fina also shared her past. But while Cyril spoke a lot about his past, Fina only shared glimpses, and those were rare indeed. Cyril had learned that she grew up without a father, so that her mother was normally protective of her. There were a few girls in the town where she had lived, and so she was constantly getting attention from the men of the village. Outraged by this, her mother sent her to her aunt's, where she was supposed to be going when she ran into Cyril. Or that's what Cyril was told. Fina looked at Cyril, her eyes sad. I don't know why I'm so small. In my town, I was one of the tallest, but now I seem so short compared to everyone else. She looked down sadly. Frowning, Cyril began stroking her hair. After feeling its silken texture, he blinked. Even after a few days of travel and improper hair management, her hair was still as soft and as silky as ever. Then, after twisting a couple of strands in his fingers, he realized something. In all his memory, he didn't recall her hair ever changing its position. It always hung like a curtain around her head, even if the wind blew it. He pondered to himself. Why does her hair do that? It was unlike any other hair he had ever seen. She looked up, blinking. What? Her eyes filled with worry as she asked. Cyril didn't know why she was so nervous, but he could see she was. So he bent down to kiss her cheek. I'm just admiring your hair, he murmured. What was he doing? A feeling came over him that made him just want to admire the woman's beauty for decades. And your beauty, he finished, lips brushing against her skin. Fina turned and stared at Cyril with shocked eyes. They sat there for a couple moments, and as Fina's eyes grew softer, Cyril leaned over. Putting both hands on her shoulder, she tilted her head up, her lips parting to meet his. Suddenly, the rocks bounded down the side of the gray cliff as the ledge gave way. Cyril was quick enough to jump back, but with a scream, Fina fell. Fina! He shouted, dashing to the edge, carefully peering down for her. Cyril! Cyril, help! She begged as she held onto a flimsy branch a few feet below. Unfortunately, there were no ledges below her to drop onto. She tried to push herself up, but the more she tried, the more her hand slid to the end of the branch. Cyril! Laying as flat as it possibly could, Cyril reached a hand out to Fina's wrist. Grab my hand, he ordered, stretching the muscles as far as they would go. Fina looked down. There was a long drop below her if she missed. Then she looked up, Cyril's hand conceivably in reach. Grunting, she reached up, her fingers barely grazing his hand. Letting out another scream, she slipped down to the very end of the branch, again holding it with both hands. Cyril grunted and crawled forward so that most of his upper body was hanging down. His head was getting a blood rush, but at least if he looked the right way, he could see a nice round rump. He chuckled inwardly as he reached out and grabbed Fina's waist. Crawl up. Crawling up, Fina turned and tried pulling Cyril up, but he was too heavy. Cyril twisted his wazit and tried getting himself up. But that was a bad move, for the rocks on that part of the ledge gave way as well. Cyril! Fina looked down, shocked, her heart pounding. He was falling fast, the ground quickly coming to meet him. Then, with a jerk, he stopped and was floating up. What's going on? He asked himself. When he was set upon the ledge, he noticed Fina with her eyes closed, hands out in front of her. There was a strange, almost invisible aura about her as she stood like that. Her eyes came open, blank for a moment as she dropped her arms to her sides, the aura fading. Then she blinked and smiled at Cyril, stepping forward to hug him. Cyril, she whispered in relief as her tiny arms wrapped around his waist. Chuckling, he kissed her forehead and pulled some hair back behind her ear. But something was amiss. He tilted the side of her hair up and saw a pointy ear. Letting the hair drop, he stepped back. What's wrong? You're an elf, he exclaimed as his back was soon pressed against hard rock. Fina blinked. I'm what? An elf? She shook her head in disbelief. No, I'm not. I'm human. Cyril didn't want to argue. He had nearly forgotten about his wife to this creature. He didn't want to deal with it anymore. Let's go, he said coldly, turning and starting to scale the wall again. Cyril, please, listen, begged Fina as she followed. But there was no answer. And that's where I left off. So what did y'all think? Oh, we got not a lot of viewers again. Okay, that's fine. I feel like it would make a good short story. I can't see me like folding it or expanding it into an epic adventure, especially since I've got a few already in the works. But it definitely could be something that I could expound on. Do maybe a couple rewrites. See where those go. But yeah, so that is Wisper in the Woods. I hope y'all liked it. If you watch this on VOD, let me know what you think. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and it hasn't quite been an hour, but this stream was to read the story. So we are going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm going to go back to the foreseen story, and the last chapter's been written, but I need to balance it out. There's some edits that I need to make before I pre-schedule it for posting. And do some more edits on that too. Alright, y'all. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. I will see you on Saturday if I don't have another surprise stream before then. Thanks for joining. Bye.